So the next segment in this video series is about tractor requirements that you're going to need to make hay on a budget. And we have 4 tractors here on the farm. 2 of them that get a lot of use, and one of them in particular that is right up the alley for haying on a budget is this Massey Ferguson 50. And I don't know that I would recommend that you go out and buy one of these models. It just happens to be what I have. But I will tell you this, there's some features that I want to talk about with this tractor and the John Deere over there that you need to consider. So when you're baling hay, you got the PTO going, and the PTO is it's that shaft right there, and it's going to be turning the drive shaft out to your baler. And whether you're baling hay or you're cutting hay, every now and then you need to stop the forward motion of the tractor. And when you do that, you don't necessarily want the implement to stop turning. So, you know, older tractors like a Ferguson 30, maybe speaking out of turn here, but like a Farmall H, some of those tractors, when you push your clutch in, the PTO stops. And you know, that's not what you want. You want to be able to let the clutch out, you know, you want to be able to start the PTO and then get your ground movement going, or some combination like that. And there are 2 types of PTOs, and one of them is called live PTO. And what that does is the clutch pedal over here on this Massey Ferguson tractor, when you push it down halfway, the forward motion stops, but the PTO keeps going. When you push it down all the way when you push it down all the way to the running board and footrest, the PTO stops, the tractor motion stops. So from a dead stop, you can start your PTO and get your implement up to speed, and then you can let further out on the clutch, and the tractor will move forward. And so, you know, the way that works is this pedal will go down about halfway, and at that point, this tractor's not going to go forward. But if I push it down all the way, the PTO is going to stop. And that's very handy, and I would not recommend a tractor of any brand without it. And there's different variations of it. Alice Chandler's had what they call it, I think it was a power director or some kind of hand clutch that they had. They could do that. But these tractors, like the Massey Ferguson and tractors, and I'll talk about some of the recommendations throughout this video, but on a budget, you can find a Massey Ferguson 35, 135, maybe a model 240. I don't think I would recommend a 235 if it has power steering. I think they had problems with those. Manual might be okay. But let's go look at the John Deere, because it has kind of the same feature that you could stop the PTO without stopping the forward motion of the tractor, and vice versa. It's got, it's a little, in some ways it's better. Maybe it's just all around better. But the John Deere has what's called an independent PTO. And it has nothing to do with the clutch that makes you go forwards or backwards. And so on the John Deere, there's a lever that you pull, and it brings the PTO on, and it takes it off. And it doesn't matter if you're sitting still or you're moving. Whereas on the Massey, if you want to disengage the PTO on it, you have to come to a complete stop. And that's really not a problem. If anything, when you panic, something starts to break and hammer, you just naturally slam the clutch all the way down and it stops everything, the PTO and the tractor. With the John Deere, you kind of got to push the clutch in to stop the forward motion and reach over and pull that lever. So on the John Deere PTO, it's sitting still. I just pull this lever right here. And my PTO shaft is turning. You can see it down there. And when I do that, it's supposed to stop. And sometimes it does. And sometimes it doesn't. There, it's slowing it down. I guess it'll stop. Kind of get the idea. So I can be, where this is really handy is with a sprayer and with a fertilizer spreader, because a lot of times, you know, I'll be going back and forth, and as I get into the turn, you know, I'll turn off the fertilizer and then turn it back on as I go back down, and that's kind of handy with that and the sprayer. And then I'll come around the border where I turn and make a pass all the way around. With the Massey, and with any tractor with a live PTO, to get that PTO to stop, you got to stop your forward motion. But that's okay, because we're trying to make hay on the budget, and you know, this is, in a lot of ways, this is the ultimate in simplicity. Now, let me see if I can make that thing come on without killing myself. Well, right there, the PTO's turning, but the forward motion's not. And if I want to go forward, I can. But to get this PTO to stop, I have to push this clutch through. Right there, there's a kind of a detent you can feel, and at that point the tractor's not going forward anymore. And I push it down one more time, and I can take the PTO out, and it comes to a stop. So that's the first thing you really need to think about with a tractor for haying, is you want a live PTO or an independent PTO. And let me shut this John Deere off, and we'll talk about a few other things. Alright, the next thing you need to consider making hay on the budget in your tractor is you want a tractor that has, this is my opinion, you want a tractor that has a high-low range and then forward and reverse gears. So on this Massey Ferguson, it has 3 forward gears in reverse, and then a high and a low and a safety detent to start it. And with these smaller balers that you're probably going to buy, like a New Holland 273, not so much with a 276, it's a higher capacity baler, but a 273, maybe a New Holland 278, maybe a John Deere 14T. Some of these balers, you're going to want to slow way down and kind of, in some ways, operate at a crawl. I think the slowest speed on this tractor in first gear low range is like 1.8 miles per hour. It's pretty slow, and that's very, very beneficial for running a hay baler. And this tractor runs my New Holland 68 like a dream, and it would do the same with a 273, a 268. Honestly, I think it would run a 336 John Deere, and I think it would run a 276 New Holland. You may not take the hay as fast as you would, you know, if you were pulling it with that John Deere, but you just have to realize in these mountains and these small fields, there were so many of these tractors, and they all baled hay, you know. So the idea that you need, you know, like a 75 or 100 horsepower tractor to bale hay is not always the case. And as this tractor has demonstrated over and over again, and other tractors up and down the road from here. So, having said that, how much power do you need? Well, when you look at a tractor, you're going to want to look not at engine horsepower, because this tractor right here, the engine horsepower on it, I want to say is like 38 horsepower. But by the time you get through the engine and the parasitic losses, I guess, through the engine, and you get through the transmission and back to that PTO shaft, that's the horsepower you're interested in. So when you look at the numbers on the tractor that you're going to buy, you're going to want you want to look at PTO. You want to look at PTO horsepower, and so this tractor at PTO horsepower, not engine horsepower, is around 32. It's like 32 PTO. So a 135, Massey Ferguson 135, I don't think it's much more. They sold a bazillion of those things. Ford 3000, I think they are truly like 37 or 38 PTO. Ford 3000, 3600, 4000. These are the blue tractors I'm talking about. You know, one of the things I mentioned when you're looking at tractors is you want to be sure that there's two ranges, two levers. And once you got that, then start looking at the PTO horsepower. And so these tractors are available. I mean, you'll find one $2,500, $3,500. They're not that expensive, and they're cheap enough that if they break and you just wanted to replace it, you could go out and buy another one instead of spending that much money on a repair. But I kind of doubt if you would spend that much money on a repair on one of these tractors. They're pretty easy to split. They're pretty easy to split. The design on these things, even the Ford tractor, pretty much remained the same for years and years and years. You know, they would upgrade this or upgrade that. Sometimes it was sheet metal. Sometimes, I don't know, they might add something. But and the other thing is, I would recommend a diesel engine. It's one thing less to do with the diesel. There's no tune-up, there's no bad gas, there's no ethanol issues with the gas. And again, Massey Ferguson, the Perkins diesel is about as good as they come. They're very, very fuel efficient. They're easy to start. You touch the key with a good battery and they just crank right over. And so, wouldn't be afraid at all of a Massey Ferguson, except I would caution the 235 with power steering. I think there were some issues with that one, and so that would be a place I would start. That Ford 3000, and I wouldn't rule out some of the other tractors out there, the row crop type tractors, if that's what's in your area. They're just not around here. You won't find Olivers. You won't find Farm All H's out here where we live. This was the tractor. When I say this was the tractor, what I'm talking about is a Massey Ferguson 35, Massey Ferguson 135, 150, 165, 175. This is a Model 50. The Model 65 is an excellent tractor. Ford 3000. We had a Ford 3000 here. We still got it when I was growing up. It's an excellent tractor. Ford 4000, 3600, 4600. You know, even a Ford 5000 would be a pretty big tractor. But you know, a tractor like this, you're farming on a budget, so you're not going to get a tractor trailer in here and a lowboy to haul out a tractor like I just did recently with my big Massey Ferguson 1105. But you can haul this on a reasonable sized trailer with a, you know, 3/4 ton pickup truck. So if you do need to buy it, you can probably find somebody to haul it for you. If you need to have it serviced or split or something done to it, you can probably get somebody, you know, a friend that's got a car hauler, and you know, they can roll that thing up on there and you're good to go. And then another thing I want to talk about briefly is the 3-point hitch. So the Massey Ferguson and Ford, you know, they had kind of a handshake agreement, and Harry Ferguson came up with the 3-point hitch, and Ford used it. And when Ford came out with the 8N, I think they told Ferguson to pound sand or something. But on the Massey Ferguson logo, these 3 points, those 3 points represent the 3-point hitch. And so you're going to have, you know, you might have a sprayer that's 50 gallons to spray your fields for weeds, and you're probably going to want to put it on a 3-point hitch. And you know, I happen to have a 3-point hitch rake. I've also got a New Holland drawbar rake, which I'll show you when I do the rake video. And it's just a real handy feature to have, and some tractors had it and some older tractors didn't. So there's nothing like the real thing. This is category 1. The John Deere over here is category 2, which has bigger pins. You can probably get by, if you're hanging on a budget and you're buying small stuff like this, you know, you can get by pretty easy with category 1. And the tractor, the overall tractor is just smaller. They're easy to get on and off of. The one thing they don't have is the weight to keep you from sliding down a hill. So if you got a big wagon pushing, you know, and you're coming down a hill like way up there, you're asking for trouble. So, but if you're out on flat land or just kind of rolly areas like this, you're probably going to be okay. You just got to be mindful of the tractor weight versus what you have behind you. And sickle mower, if you choose to go with a sickle mower, category 1 is okay. Category 2, if you're using a drum mower, you'll probably need something. You'll probably get it on a category 1 if it's short enough, like a 6-foot or 5-foot mower. These tractors don't have enough horsepower really to run a disc mower. Maybe if there's a small one it could, I really don't know. They'll handle a hay bind. This tractor ran a hay bind before I bought it. It had a hydraulic remote on it, and I actually took that off, the part that sends the fluid out. But it ran a hay bind, and basically all that hydraulic remote did was lift the head up on the hay bind and lower it down. Who knows how many hundreds of acres this tractor mowed over the years with a 7-foot hay bind. And again, the horsepower requirements on those things is around 30 horsepower, and a baler, you know, 30 horsepower, I mean, my John Deere 348 is a high capacity baler, and the minimum horsepower requirement on that is 35. I don't know if I'd want to run it on here with heavy hay, but we might try it sometime just to see. But this tractor will handle a hay bind like a dream. It'll handle a small New Holland or John Deere baler just fine. Hay rakes and tedders, you know, some tedders are 3-point mounted, some are drawbar mounted. I like a drawbar mounted implement just from changing out quickly. And but we have when we use this rake, we try to leave it on this tractor all summer. And so another thing I want to caution you about is a lot of you guys have, a lot of you folks have some of these compact tractors, small Kubotas, maybe a small John Deere, and this area right back in here, in that PTO shaft, when you get a baler on there, there's a motion that rocks back and forth when that plunger's going back and forth, and it's severe. And some tractor manufacturers will tell you, at least they did years ago, like I know Kubota was one of them, that they don't warranty that casing right there. And there have been occasions where that rear end is cracked and busted out because of the shock load of the baler. But having said that, when I look on the internet, I see a ton of people using these compact tractors, you know, and they're baling hay. So every case is different. I can tell you this tractor is affordable, and a 135, Massey 135, like I say, I kind of use that, not to beat a dead horse, but I use this tractor interchangeably with these other older tractors that, you know, you buy $2,500, $3,500, $4,500, and you know, they're heavy duty. I mean, they're just heavy. They're overbuilt. You know, they're made to take a licking and keep on ticking. So probably another thing I should mention is if you get a tractor with power steering, you know, that's really nice. The lights, you can make those things work. Sometimes you're going to be out here after dark doing something. That's kind of nice. But that's kind of it for the tractor portion of this making hay on a budget. You know, a 35, 40 PTO horsepower tractor. This one's 32. If you're looking at Massey Ferguson as kind of a benchmark, and then jump off of that to other brands, you know, you want 2 levers, you want the high-low range. Again, you want to look at the PTO horsepower. And there's a place called Tractor Data on the internet that you can look this stuff up, and then if you go to the Nebraska test that their link will take you to, it's like the 4th or 5th tab on their website for a particular tractor. And what you want to look at, you'll come down that test a few lines and you'll see PTO rated horsepower. That's what you want to look at, not engine horsepower. And so high-low range, you want either live or independent PTO. You want a 3-point hitch if you can get it. Power steering if you can get it. I think a diesel engine is the way to go. You know, gasoline's okay, but there's really no maintenance to a diesel engine to speak of. It either runs or it doesn't. No points, no ethanol gas to fool with. And I think you get one of these, and you might buy 2 of them. It's nice to have you know, a tractor on the rake and another one on the baler if you got another person helping. But these are affordable enough. You know, if you bought, I know a guy that bought a little compact John Deere with a loader and I don't know, 60-inch deck to mow his yard with. And honestly, I think he paid about $20,000 or $25,000 for that thing. I mean, you can buy a couple of these tractors for a fraction of that price, and a rake, and a tedder, and a baler, and, you know, and you're making hay, and they're cutting grass, maybe moving around some mulch. So take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert. For you guys that are veteran haymakers that might have a differing opinion on the horsepower and the tractor selection and things like that, just cut me some slack. Bear in mind that, you know, up here in the mountains of Virginia, And my mother's from western North Carolina, the small fields in the mountains down there where they farmed hay and tobacco and cattle. You know, tractors like this, you know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, ruled in many ways, and they're still applicable today. And if you're trying to make hay on a budget, I would certainly recommend Massey Ferguson 135, Ford 3000, 150 Massey, Ford 4000, even a Ford 5000 would be nice. 165 Massey Ferguson makes an excellent tractor. Sometimes you find a deal on a 245 Massey Ferguson, which is a really, really good tractor. The model 240 is a good tractor. And just kind of do some internet search and reading, and maybe use the Massey as a baseline. And the next video we'll have coming up will be on, I don't know if it'll be on rakes or tethers. And I might work on the, since I got this rake hooked up, I may work on that video today. So good luck, and spring will be here soon, and maybe you're chomping at the bit to get into the hayfield like we are. So a little something to think about with the tractor part of making hay on a budget. Subscribe if you like these videos. Hit the like button. We post some pictures from time to time on Instagram, and comment. Keep it positive. We're trying to help out here, so don't bust my chops on the comments. If you got something constructive to say, certainly put it on there, and we'll talk to you again.